Hello, Badassers, and welcome to the Badass in Business Show, the show where we help you with your inner game and your outer game, teaching you how to own your inner badass and showing you strategies to be badass in your business or badass your business. So in other words, we help you get badassified, and I love that word. It's my new favorite word. Anyway, I'm Annette Piper. I'm the Badass Business Chick and your host for the Badass in Business Show. I'm totally stoked today. We have Cheryl Thacker on the show today. Cheryl partners with emerging entrepreneurs and coaches to take structured action to define and scale their business, reach their personal and professional goals, and improve health and balance in their lives. Coach Cheryl is a master board certified coach and holds several certifications and is PCC credentialed through the International Coach Federation and BCC credentialed through the Center for Credentialing and Education. Awesome. Welcome to the show, Cheryl.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Annette. Enjoying.
That's a lot of CCs. That's a lot of CCs in there.
It is the acronym. If you saw my coaching ones, you'd be like, it's just too many initials and too many acronyms.
Yeah, same with all my certifications as well. So tell us a little bit more about your life, your business. What motivated you and inspired you to start your own business?
Well, I actually had some health issues about 15 years ago, and basically had a sort of a breakdown, and I was working 60, 70 hours a week, raising 3 kids, and it got to be too much, and God kind of said, you're done, and took me down. So from there, I kind of had to be inventive and find ways to support my family and support myself, because I couldn't go out to work for about 2 years, really it took me. And so I found things to do, like I did some web design and graphics, and I would do people's taxes. I have a background in finance, and so I just did a whole bunch of side things. And then I had a family member that had an addiction, and they were looking for some help, and I found Recovery Nation online, and it's a health-based recovery website, and has lessons and coaches and all kinds of resources on there. So I started to help out there with their website, and got to know the owner pretty well, and then started helping them kind of develop things, their program and things for kind of sister sites and stuff. But the owner passed away suddenly from a massive heart attack, and his family didn't really know much about how the site worked or anything. And so they actually asked me to take it over. And so I did. And I realized in order to open the coaching back up that I needed to be certified if that's what I wanted to do. So I thought about it, and I really liked helping people, and I really liked the community on Recovery Nation. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I went and got my coaching certifications, opened up the program, and I've been coaching or been running that nonprofit from 2009 now. And then from there, it just kind of ballooned. I started becoming an instructor at the school that I got my certifications, and then they asked me to become the training director. So all these things kind of just came together. All my past experiences helped, and I was able to start a business on my own for Successful Coaches Enterprise, which is working with other coaches and entrepreneurs for their business. So that's basically how I got here.
That's a pretty cool journey. I think that's how many coaches start in the coaching industry. It usually happens with some kind of their own struggle or challenge. I know that's how it was with me. I started my journey with health issues as well, and going to the doctor all the time. They're like, oh, we got to do something to build your immune system. Then they'd send me out the door with the paper to pay on the way out. So I went to the library, started researching health and wellness, nutrition. And so that's where I started. And then a personal crisis in my marriage sent me delving into a lot of personal development. And between those two, that's where I realized I could help other people get through what I went through. And so was life coaching, and then through that business coaching. And with my first business kind of failing, I learned a lot. And so from that, I learned how to do business the right way and decided that was the next track for me. So it's fun. I think almost every, if not every entrepreneur that I've interviewed has had something like that sent them into the world of entrepreneurship, some kind of challenge.
Yeah, and I think the self-care piece is the part. I mean, I wasn't taking care of myself, and you know, we're in that corporate environment where we're pushing everything, and well, at least back then, the women, you know, we did everything. We took care of the kids. We went to work. We you know, wasn't much outside help in that area either. So I did learn a great deal. I learned a great deal about self-care and routines and taking care of ourselves. And that's why I kind of look at the whole person and try to help people reach health and wellness goals as well as their business goals.
Yeah, you and I, we're on the same track. I take that holistic approach to success as well with my background in health, wellness, and fitness, and then business, because it's all integrated. It's all part of the same system. You know, for years and years and years, we've heard, don't take your personal life to work or your work to your personal life. It just happens. It's because it's all interconnected, whether you're working a corporate job or whether you're running your own business. It all weaves together. And so finding that harmony and balance and learning how to take care of yourself. I'm so glad you're doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
So you teach the 6 pillars to master your coaching biz. Will you expand a little bit on those 6 pillars?
Yeah, so what I realized through, you know, through working with the different coaches and also at the school, I realized that there's a really big gap that as coaches and entrepreneurs that we kind of don't look at. And getting people to kind of focus in on the business side can be, you know, can have a lot of obstacles, I'll put it that way. You know, we have the inspiration usually, we have the mindset somewhat, but getting us to focus in on what needs to be done can be kind of hard on the business side. So basically the 6 pillars is looking at our message, our marketing, visibility, relationship building, sales, self-care, and systems. So we want to look at all those when we're trying to put our business together. And part of that is the self-management and the self-care and having the balance. So those are the 6 areas I look at: visibility, marketing, relationship building, sales, systems, and then you know, passive streams of income.
Awesome. And so you were just sharing a few minutes ago the importance of creating routines and that self-care, which really set you up for success. How is it that you weave that into your business? What is your structure that you use to teach people that's so important self-care piece and setting up those routines?
So part of it is looking at it's all about looking at the self-management and the routines. And one thing is that there's a resistance, I think, from a lot of people because we feel like we left like the corporate world or we left other situations where there's this structure and we didn't want to be a part of that structure. But in this way, when we integrate it in the way that I do with my 6 pillars, we're looking at creating freedom from having the structure. And so the structure is still within our power. It's still within our likes and dislikes and what we want to do for the most part. And then pushing us where we don't necessarily have a whole lot of passion maybe to take care of ourselves. But once we get there and once we see that we can have the routines, we can take care of ourselves and everything else builds off of that, then we're able to actually experience more freedom. So we look at looking at your routines and schedules, creating routines and schedules, especially for things that you may not enjoy doing. Like, for instance, a ton of people don't like marketing. So we just look at, I'm just going to use this as an example. We look at something that is really a block. So say if it's marketing, We look at what day of the week is best for you to tackle something that you're not particularly, gung-ho about. If Monday mornings aren't your days, that's not the day to do the things that are you're gonna struggle with doing. If Wednesday you're pretty energized and you can pretty much sit down and do things that have to be done, then that's when we plan and we look at doing these things on Wednesdays. So we look at basically structuring your week in a way that plays to your strengths and nurses kind of the weaknesses to really just to get more successful in your life as well as your business. So we look at things like, again, the routines, schedules, blocks of time, working in blocks of time versus trying to sit and get everything done in one sitting, getting up, walking around, getting a drink of water, getting outside for some fresh air. We look at your wheel of life to create some balance and making sure over about 8 main areas of your life. So we want to create some balance there. We look at your growth mindset, your affirmations, things that to get you going, get you motivated, and keep you on track. And then we look at a structured morning power program, or it could be evening. Some people aren't morning people and they'd rather do some of it at night, which is fine. But just having that morning program where we're focusing in on ourselves, where we're reading, we're looking at inspirational things, we're thinking about our day, thinking about the goals that we want to accomplish, and just really putting mindfulness and intention in the day. And then we look at your exercise, nutrition, and playtime. So we look at the whole thing, the scheduling, the balance, the mindset, self-care, all of it part of that self-management. And everything else builds right on top of that. It's so much easier to integrate at that point.
Oh, I totally agree. And I learned years ago to create a morning routine for myself. Once I was, my babies were old enough that I wasn't having to nurse them every morning. Focusing on my health, and then my whole relationship was so chaotic. I learned to get up early, like 4 a.m. I was still working in the corporate world at the time, and having that time to myself to meditate, to journal, to read uplifting material. And so when I left the corporate world and started my own business, I already had that routine created. And so I also teach that to people as well when they're in that unstructured thing. I teach it to my kids, whether they do it or not, I don't know, but they'll figure it out one day. Right? It's so important. It's so important. It is. Right. Everything does build on top of that. If you're not taking care of yourself and you aren't starting your day with a clear mind and you're still bringing the stress from the day before, then that builds on top of it as well.
Yeah, and that's where you start to develop kind of unhealthy habits, or you're, like you said, you're bringing things from the past over into today. We want to be present in what's going on today, enjoying what's going on today, and tackling what's going on today, and not bringing things from the past, because that's just going to create pile on top, and it's just going to create a weight on us. And we have enough to do as entrepreneurs to think about and worry about and get done, that we don't have to bring in the past, and we want to just be at our best. And to be at our best, we have to be balanced, and we have to have that mindset of, again, bringing things to the present and what can I do now, and what's the best course of action now moving forward.
And that's why coaching is so important, because all of us, even us coaches, it's easy for us to fall back into those habits as well. That's why we have coaches to help us. And so coaching is just a valuable process that keeps you accountable and keeps you moving forward, so that you don't fall back into those bad habits and unsuccessful routines.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
So you teach a lot about emotional intelligence as well. So how do you use EIQ to guide your clients to greater success?
So as coaches, it's important for us to create, or it's important for us to be aware, have a deeper awareness of what's going on with our emotions as well as other people's emotions. And the coaches that have higher EIQs or develop, because you can develop EIQ, develop higher EIQs, are able to have kind of that insight that influences deeper awareness and transformation that starts from the inside of a person. And it can be through us, or it could be just observing through the client. But basically, when you think about it, emotions are a filter that help shape what we see and how we see, how we evaluate information, how we evaluate situations, things that happen to us. So what emotional intelligence does is allows us as coaches to perceive and manage those filters that we get from the client, so we get a more accurate and kind of useful understanding of each individual client, what makes them tick, how they're managing their emotions, and how they're managing their life based on that emotion. And it helps us to manage our life as well better through that emotional intelligence lens. So I think it's very important to develop EIQ and use it with our clients so that we can help them to be more successful and ourselves to be more successful as well.
Yeah, I have my emotional intelligence books right behind me on my shelf because it is so important. And, you've got to start with yourself first, and developing that higher level of emotional intelligence is so important. So yeah. Cheryl, what's a recent challenge that you've had to overcome in your business, and how did you overcome
that? So the recent challenge has been to scale up, and I think it's particularly a common thing that we all we're like, okay, we're at this point where we know we have to push forward and get somewhere, but there's a couple things going on. We're nervous, right? There's self-doubt, there's some stress there that we have to scale up, and because if we stay, then we become stagnant, right? We always have to kind of grow and move forward. So I was at that point, and I'm not totally over that hump, but I am at the point now where I've said, yep, I'm scaling up. And how I did that was, first of all, to create my balance in my life. I had to check that, make sure things were balanced and that I was able to take on more and be successful with it. Because I don't want to take on things and then not be successful with it. So I looked at kind of what was going on first with me. Made some adjustments that I felt were necessary, just more self-care, because again, it's easy to get caught up in the business side and easy to get caught up with trying to get more clients or trying to do this or trying to do that in our business. And also the frustrations and stress that can come with that. So just did some kind of self-reflection, made some adjustments, and then actually started working with a new coach. I firmly believe as coaches, we have to have our own coaches. But I also believe that you scale up your coaches as you scale up your business, right? Because you want your coach to meet you where you are, but also to pull you up. And I think that we're all at different levels. I'm not the right coach for everybody, and not everybody's the right coach for me. So I found a really good coach that is where I want to be, or a little bit above where I want to be, and really sat down and had a really good conversation with her, and we basically came up with a plan to scale up. And then I kind of took that, went with talked to my partner and my mom as well. I talked to my mom a lot about stuff, and we kind of said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to scale up here, and so it's been fun getting ready for it. All the kind of research you have to do and putting pieces in place, and I like it. And then I'm also at the same time looking at people that I'm working with and saying, okay, as I'm scaling up, I want to bring them up as well, and have them scale up. So I think scaling up is a common challenge, but I think that we have to do it. I think it's very easy to just put it off and just be kind of okay with the status quo. But I don't think we're going to impact people that way as much as we can, and that's what we're in it for, right? We're in here we're coaches, and we're in business for ourselves to help other people to be successful in whatever way that is, and so that means that we have to jump out of our comfort zone in order to bring other people outside of their comfort zone and be more successful.
Exactly, exactly. And I like to refer to it as the familiar zone because sometimes we're totally uncomfortable where we're at, but we're familiar. So it's kind of like the devil you know is better than the devil that you don't know. So you kind of stay stuck where you are because you're familiar with it. And so, yeah, that's awesome that you're scaling up. I was about ready to start singing the Jefferson song.
Yes. I'm very excited about it, and I can't wait till I'm at the other. Well, I don't want to say the other end because then that implies an ending. But I'd like to get over the hump and see what that's like on the other side, because I always get excited about that once I've reached kind of over that little hump, and I can go, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because we always kind of build up that that fear and that expectations, and you feel like maybe you'll be disappointed or maybe things won't go well, but it's about mindset, intention, and I love to see the other end of it. So
very cool, and I'm sure you will.
Thank you.
So what's one piece of advice that you would give to other entrepreneurs that you can leave them with today?
I think the biggest thing is for community. I think a lot can be said for community. So I think we have to build each other up, build communities within our industries. Like, you and I are probably very similar in our businesses, but we should be able to support each other. And I think that that's more of a woman, I see anyway, more of a woman thing where, the women aren't as supportive as they can be with each other. And I think that needs to change a little bit more over time. There's some big people out there, influencers, that are pushing that, and I like that a lot. So I think just building community, being able to be honest and open with that community, and building up from there and building each other up. I think that's the biggest. I think that's a win-win for everybody, but a lot for ourselves as well.
Very cool. Thank you so much. And you have a special offer for our listeners today. Share that with us, please.
Yeah. So my next Master Your Coaching Biz Bootcamp, which is my signature program, starts in March. And so the offer just for your audience is Badass 500, which is just $500 off the tuition. It's a 12-week bootcamp that covers those 6 pillars with everything that you need: support, accountability, small group, with scripts and forms and templates and all that. So it's a pretty comprehensive program, and it'll help you to build up your business or scale up your business.
Perfect. And where else can our listeners learn more about you and your company?
Successfulcoaches.com is my website. It's got a little bit of revamping going on, but it should be done by the end of the week. So yes, please visit that, successfulcoaches.com. And then the bootcamp actually has its own site as well, masteryourcoachingbiz.com.
Perfect. Well, Cheryl, thank you. It's been great having you on the Badass in Business show today.
Thank you so much, and I'm very privileged to be here, and I had a great time.
Well, thank you so much. And Cheryl's info and links will be in the podcast notes. Remember to share the podcast with other badass business owners. And also, be sure to join the Badass Business Builders Mastermind group on Facebook, where you can create some community as well and be involved in a great community. And you can also find me at AnnettePiper.com. And remember to spell Piper, P-I-E, just like the yummy dessert. Thanks for listening, everyone, and go out and make it a badass day. Namaste.